So before we start, I'm just going to give a disclaimer that non-duality is not therapy, and can be therapeutic. But it's actually about going beyond the person. So if there is a wanting to improve your story or your life, or there's trauma there, then I really recommend to seek out some sort of therapist, a somatic therapist or body worker, talk therapy. Yeah, there's so many different types of therapy that you could do. On my reference page, there is a section with therapists who also know about non-duality. So basically, just a warning, non-duality is really extreme. It's talking about going beyond you. It's such an extreme message. And I just wish everyone really well. And, if there's cracks in the foundation, in the person, then you can put filler in there, meaning that you can make the human life more comfortable. It won't stop going beyond the person. Yeah. Okay. So the title is You Have Given Your Power Away. Here's how you can get it back. So you have given your power away. Here is how you can get it back. So from a non-dual perspective, this is the way you've given away your power. In most societies, it will be about something to do with money or behavior or social interactions, the way you interact with people. But in non-duality, you give your power away as soon as there is belief or this energetic contraction that you are an illusion. That you are someone or something moving in time. And we could then say, yeah, but who would give away their power? If everything's that, then who would give away their power? And that's a crack in the foundation of the title. Who would give away their power? But if we didn't take the words too literally, we could look at it from the perspective as soon as there is a belief that you are something in time, you're bound by pain and pleasure. And this is in a way where power is given away, because it makes you a beggar suddenly. You're begging for pleasure and trying to avoid pain. So, like the all-powerful way of being is to be in yourself all time. And what in yourself means is to be at home. To be at home. To be at home. So let's go deeper into that. So in childhood, very early childhood, there is identification with a body-mind mechanism. Before that, there's this pure beingness, this awake presence that doesn't belong to anybody or anything. It's just there, awake, aware of itself. And then, at some age, the baby or the toddler begins to identify with the body. So before identifying with the body, the baby was everything. It didn't know it was its hand. It didn't know the mother was different or the room was different. There was simply everything. And perception was everything. There wasn't a consciousness inside the body. There was perception, which was all things, or pure awareness, which is all things. Just as a side note to regular viewers that have watched me for many years, I've given up my way of saying consciousness, like big consciousness and personal awareness, and I've given into the way Nisargadatta Maharaj and Ramana sort of speaks about it, and they use awareness as the ultimate and consciousness as the personal awareness. So just know that I've switched. I've just given up trying to stick to mine. I teach the book currently. We do study groups on the book every week, twice a week, and I just can't fight it off anymore. It's like when you're studying a book, it says the opposite way around from you, the words the opposite way around, you just eventually fall into that. So yeah, if you're newcomers, you don't know what I'm talking about, but if you've listened a long time, I have swapped over to Nisargadatta and sort of Ramana. Ramana talks about it a little bit in this way. So anyway, the baby was just pure awareness, and that awareness wasn't separate from anything. It was everything. So the baby wasn't aware inside the head. The baby wasn't aware of something. The awareness was all. And that awareness was totally empty. It was owned by nothing. And it was full of everything. So it was full of all things. And then at some age, the baby began to develop something called personal consciousness. Personal consciousness. And there was already some form of personal consciousness in the baby when the body was born, and it sort of grew and grew. And then the personal consciousness became identified. And what that means is the baby began to feel like it was the body. And it felt like it was someone. Whereas before that, and maybe you can remember that, it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything. It just was. And then at some point, there was a personal consciousness that formed, and it felt like it existed. That something and someone existed. And that's really profound. Because it's that something that formed and grew, it's not who you originally were. Like it's something that comes and goes. That's really like phenomenal to question this. And then that personal consciousness grew. It began to fill itself up with things. So the first one is, I am the body. The next one is, I am Tarzan. We'll say the name of the baby is Tarzan. I am Tarzan. I am a good boy. I am a boy. I like blue. I am strong. And prior to that, the baby was awake, but it didn't know what it was. It wasn't anything. It was free. It was every possibility. But as soon as it began to have this personal consciousness and identify with the personal consciousness, and the personal consciousness began to get filled up with who it believes itself to be. And then the most important idea of all comes along. So I am Tarzan, and I have to make myself happy. I have to make myself safe. Life is my responsibility. And then this endless game starts of Tarzan trying to make himself happy and safe and feel good and feel loved. You could call this the seeking of pleasure. And then they're trying to avoid pain, feeling unloved, feeling bad, feeling shamed, feeling not good enough, being afraid and scared. And Tarzan's whole story of himself becomes based on this premise of seeking. In Buddhism, they call it craving. And the identity gets made up of that, of seeking. You might not think it because you might feel like you're a special individual that is above that. But it's just a practicality. Like if you look at it, so Tarzan, say the first day Tarzan goes to school, the pleasure game might be to be better than all the kids. Now he's not going to run around and say, I want to be better than all the kids. There's just going to be a movement to be better than all the kids. And the reason that he wants to do that is to make himself feel safe, to make him feel good, to make himself feel important, that he belongs. But he's not conscious of all of that. He's just got this momentum that's seeking to be better than all the kids. So he tries to do everything the teacher says really to the T, really correctly. He maybe tries to be kind to all the other kids, help all the other kids. Maybe tries to win all the games and break time, really pays attention, tries to colour in better than the other kids, write better than the other kids. And he doesn't know that he's doing that. And that will also create excitement in him and adrenaline in him. And maybe he'll be successful, so the other kids will think he is very capable. And suddenly a character will be formed out of that seeking. So he'll be very capable. People will go and ask him for help. He might be likable. He might be the teacher's pet. He might be very... what's that word, when you cooperative. He might be very cooperative. So he becomes popular. And that is how the seeking makes the personality. So maybe you get another kid that sees safety as being bad and being scary and bullying the other kids. And then that kid creates an identity of that. He becomes the bully, he becomes disruptive, the class clown. And we all think that this is personalities. This is who we are. That is who that little boy is, Tarzan is. But that's not who he is, because he was something before that. That's the colour, the dressing that comes on top, the clothes. And this game in the beginning, it can feel exciting. So this can be very exciting for Tarzan. He doesn't know it. But like anything, it comes with its opposite. It will come with stress for Tarzan because he's always trying to be good. He has to live up to this image. And he feels immense shame and fear when he's bad. So then it's like he's running from his shadow. He's running from that which he's trying to reject, which is badness, not good enough. being unloved, being unliked, and trying to be perfect, trying to be good. And he's running in this. And as a young child, that's maybe not so heavy. But as you do that for 10 years, it gets more and more heavy, that game. So as you begin to go into teenage years, there begins to be more and more suffering. And it won't just be that game he'll be playing many more games as well. But then after 20 years, it'll be even more heavy, be even more stressful to hold up, put more stress on the body, made the body go out of balance, because it's stressful, because it's not natural. So it overuses the body's hormone and nervous system begins to get disrupted. But he's only 20, so there's still some sort of okayness with it. But then 30 and he begins to get married and have kids and others become dependent on him. And then it's like the body's getting older, so it's harder to keep up. But it's becoming more important. He has to be even more better now that he's a father, maybe. And then he gets into his 40s and then his body is now actively in decline. And he's still looking after the family, working full-time maybe, having to run a household. And the body is really getting pooped from so much effort of always trying to be good, of always trying to get life right, of always trying to live up to this identity. The thoughts begin to get out of control, or maybe they've been out of control a long time, because it's never been thought about that the thoughts can get out of control. So they've just been allowed to run wild. So they run on this game of trying to be perfect. And they create so much shameful thinking, so much fear, worry, anxiety, panic, disassociation. And 50s and 60s, the body gets more and more tight. That movement is really clamped into the body now. That automatic responses. More than likely doesn't feel joy or good anymore. It doesn't feel exciting, it's just stressful. So maybe there's a lot of drinking, a lot of dissociation, maybe a lot of porn. Anything to just take the edge off. Maybe there's medication. And that's the human trajectory, if I say that word right. And it happens in all different varieties, and we call that seeking pattern personality and who someone is. Oh, Tarzan, he always is helpful. He's such a nice guy, always helping people. No, he's stressed as fuck because he's always helping people. He's stressed out. That's not personality. That's not who you are. I mean, they could say that is personality, but it's not who you are. It's not a truth. Who are you? Before that game existed, there was this beingness, this pure awareness. So the way back to yourself, the way back for Tarzan to himself, is he wants to hold on to the personal consciousness, the feeling of I am, before it goes into I am good, I am bad, I am right, I am wrong. And this personal consciousness is like a gateless gateway to that big awareness. So you want to come back to the most simplest thing in which you can find about yourself, and that is the feeling of I am and the personal consciousness. You can never put attention on the big awareness because the big awareness cannot be looked at. It is looking. You cannot turn around and look at that which is experiencing. So you put it on the feeling of I am, the feeling of the personal consciousness. You come back to the original sense of you before it began to get all complex into wanting to be bad or wanting to be good. I am. And this is the way home. And when home is found, that will all be seen as a dream. You looking, you putting your attention anywhere, you doing anything. Because who is the one experiencing now? And you'll see the one that is experiencing now is timeless and spaceless and cannot wake up. It is awake. Only a story can wake up. Who are you? Who are you? Okay, so back to the title. I've completely forgot about the title. So you gave your power away, so that's how Tarzan gave his power away. He forgot who he was. And the way you get it back is holding on to the initial sense of being. The initial sense of I am. Before it goes, I am Tarzan. I am good. I am better than. I am stronger than. I am musclier than. I am. Okay. That is the end of the introduction. If you want to ask any questions, you can put your hand up in Zoom. You can write it in the Telegram question group, or you can write a question in the Zoom chat. If you want to join the Zoom community and join the talk in Zoom rather than on YouTube so you can ask questions, then you can find out how to do that on my website under Telegram. No, under live streaming. Then it's the Telegram community. Yeah. And yeah, we just put on the website the a retreat for next year in June. It's very early this time, in October. We just take reservations now. We won't take a deposit until maybe January or February, because it booked out last time. We do it earlier this year. Yeah, and if it books out quickly again, maybe I'll do another one in October. You will see. Yeah, so you can find that on my website under events. And just know that if you do want to come on this one, then it is on a mountain, and so you do have to have sort of good or semi-good mobility. Like there is a lot of walking involved. It's like 10 minutes from the top to the bottom of the property, up and downhill. And there's no possibility for cars or for lifts between the different venues. It's sort of spread out over a mountain. It's very beautiful, but yeah, just so people are aware of that.